Hello, I'm Jensen. What's going on, guys? So this video is going to be all about the angle kit, but before we get started, it is finally for sale. It is on the market at AAD Performance, and this is the world's first angle kit for these platforms, the LC-LX platform. So that works for all Dodge Chargers, Challengers, Chrysler 300s, Magnums, anything 2012 and above will work. And these kits being all CNC billet aluminum, they are a little pricey. So make sure you use discount code HELLO to get over $150 off your purchase, which is a big chunk off this kit. But anyway, let me tell you all about this angle kit. So first off, as you can see, we have a ton of steering angle. We have almost, maybe a little over 70 degrees of turning radius. I went with the anodized red kit. It comes in this color and black. I personally like the red. It looks really nice even when it's super dirty like this. Kit comes with the upper control arms, the lower control arms, the bracket to bolt to the knuckle, comes with the toe arm, and it comes with the extended outer tie rods. So let's just start from the basic questions and work our way up. There's a little bit of modification that you have to do to this car for it to be able to fit. A little bit of fabrication, a little bit of cutting, but it's nothing you can't do at home. It's pretty simple. So the first thing that we had to do was cut the bottom of this knuckle to be able to bolt the bracket on. And I have a full installation video on this kit, and I'll put the link in the description below because that's kind of a lot more in depth of installing this kit and going over everything. But this is the small stuff that we had to work out and my thoughts on it. First, what we had to do was swap knuckles. So this is the passenger side knuckle on the driver's side. After we did that, we had to cut the bottom of the knuckle off to be able to bolt this bracket on and make everything fit. Everything fits amazing though. No rubbing issues whatsoever down below. One issue that we did run into was up here on the upper control arms. We had to go in and notch a little section out so we had full suspension clearance and full suspension travel. So those are the only two things that you really have to like modify or fabricate. Is the bottom of the knuckle, you got to cut that off, and then you got to cut off a little piece of the inner fender structure, but that's just to hold on the fender. It has nothing to do with the stability of your vehicle, so don't worry about that. Plus, AAD is going to sell caps to be able to weld in there and clean all that up. If you're really worried about cutting that and leaving it like that, they're gonna sell those, which is a really nice option, so shout out to AAD. Anyway, that's the cutting part. Pretty simple, pretty easy. One drastic thing that changed when we swapped knuckles from the passenger side to the driver's side is the caliper went from the back of the rotor to the front of the rotor. So as you can see, the caliper is up front now. It's a little crazy looking, but works perfectly fine. I haven't felt any difference in braking performance whatsoever, so don't worry about that. Installing the kit, I was having issues with the power steering. After I bled the power steering, all I did was jack up the front wheels, get those in the air, take the cap off of the reservoir, turn the wheel all the way to one direction, all the way to the other direction a few times with the cap off, put the car down on the ground, Same thing with the cap off, turn it, and then we put it back in the air, repeated the process. And then once we put the car back on the ground, it felt a lot better. So if you have hydraulic power steering, you might run into issues. I'm pretty sure my pump was already a little tired just from previous abuse, and adding the extra steering onto the steering rack and the pump might have made it a little bit angrier, but after we bled it, seems a whole lot better. Plus, I'm sure a lot of you guys are 2018 and up and have electric power steering, so I'm sure you won't even have to bleed your power steering whatsoever. But for the guys that still have the hydraulic, something to keep in mind, I'm thinking about upgrading to electric power steering and just having my guys over at ECU Dynamics hook it up to the CAN bus system so I can run electronic power steering. That's just one thing I'm thinking about. If you wanted to keep your hydraulic, maybe add a power steering cooler or something like that to kind of keep the fluid temperatures down. That's kind of one issue that I ran into, was it was just my pump was tired. I'm sure if I had a brand new pump, I wouldn't have any issues. But as you guys know, this is a narrow body Charger. With that being said, the wheels stick out 2 inches farther on each side. So if you have a wide body, it might tuck in there perfect. It might still rub the fenders. My fenders rub a bunch. With that stance being so much wider, it pushes out the strut. So with that being said, the mounting point for the sway bar is way farther out this direction, so the stock sway bar will not fit. We're trying to come up with different solutions to run a sway bar in the future, but for right now there's no options. So with that being said, the front end has a little bit more sway than it used to, obviously because the sway bar is taken out. And even with my coilovers, it's a little bit too much of a sway, so I'm gonna have to get a little bit stiffer front suspension, and that just includes stiffer springs and dampers, which I've already talked to BC Racing, and we're going to do that very, very shortly. But just keep that in mind. That's something you could have an issue with, your fenders rubbing, and that's just if you're lowered. If you have stock suspension and you're still pretty tall, you might not have any rubbing issues whatsoever. That's just something to think about. So those are just a few minor things that you have to do. Swap knuckles, cut the bottom, cut the top for the upper control arm. Should get stiffer front suspension. If not, then just run it, send it. You don't really need it because I drove all weekend and didn't have issues. My wheels never locked up from rubbing or anything like that. So it's not a safety issue. It's more of a preference issue, like how you like the feel of your car. I like it a little bit stiffer in the front, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get stiffer front suspension. For the most part, this thing has 0 issues. It's bulletproof. I tested it all weekend and had extreme amount of fun. This car, it changes the car completely. It turns it to a real drift car. You feel so much more angle when you're drifting. Like, you can have higher wheel speed, you can stay at a wider angle with more smoke, your foot in the gas, and you don't spin out because you have that turning radius. If you get a little too sideways, you can keep turning. It made the car so much more fun to drift. So huge thank you to AAD Performance. Thank you for coming up with this kit. Extremely fun. But anyway, that's pretty much going to be the end of this video. I just wanted to tell you guys that this thing is for sale. All Mopar owners, SOS, all Mopar owners better jump on this ASAP. If you're really into sliding these cars and want to take it to the next level, this is how you do it. Angle kit, insane. So I'm expecting a bunch of you guys to grab that. Make sure you use discount code HELLO to get over $150 off your purchase, and don't miss out because there's only a few. There are going to be a bunch made in the future, but for this first release there's only a few, so grab one while you can. Like I said, discount code HELLO. That's HELLOO. Hello with 3 O's. Make sure you grab one. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell, thumbs up, all that stuff, and go grab one of these kits. Link is down below. See you guys in the next one. Deuces.